Breaking news from Dogs, Trains, Rail Reports. Great Smoky Mountains Railroad 4210 has officially been repainted. The new paint scheme is a mix of Southern Railway's F-Unit paint scheme and GSMR Tuscan red and gold. The locomotive also features a 1776 to 2026 American flag for the semi-quincentennial. The front of the locomotive features a logo that says Route of the Noonday Sun. Noonday Sun roughly translates to the Cherokee word Nantahala, a reference to GSMR's popular excursion through the Nantahala Gorge. This has led to the paint scheme being dubbed the Nantahala Paint Scheme by rail fans. This move comes only a year after I released the first 4210 paint schemes video. In that video, I edited 4210 with several different paint schemes, including Southern Tuxedo and GSMR. It appears that someone at GSMR saw my video, as 4210 has now been painted with a Southern-style paint scheme. Also of important note, this new paint scheme, intentional or not, has sort of revived an old scrap Southern F-Unit. Southern Railway 4210 was an F7 that looked identical to Erie Mining 4210. Southern 4210 operated around the Appalachian Mountains in the 1960s and was painted with Southern Tuxedo. So now, Southern 4210 is, in a way, back from the scrapyard. Now, enjoy the rest of my footage as we pace 4210 through the Thomas Valley and get a close look at the fresh coat of paint. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.